go back in time 20, 30 years, day trading in general, did not look like it did today. You didn't have supercomputers, you didn't have laptops, you didn't have your phone with apps on them that you could trade for free. You had to go down to the exchange and place an order. You had to know somebody, you had to actually know what you were doing. So kind of break down, Steve, since you've been there, you've kind of seen the technology change, you've seen the world change, I guess. Back in the day when the dinosaurs were walking on the earth, how much different is trading today compared to 30 years ago?
So when I was 16 years old, my father said to me, he said, I want you to take a day off from school. I go, oh, okay. And I want you to come to work with me. I want you to see what your father does every single day. I said, okay. So I took the train with him from Westchester into Grand Central, and then took the subway. And then I got a little breakfast, and then I waited for him, and then I waited, and then finally they paged my father, and next thing I know, I started walking up these stairs on the floor of the American Stock Exchange. And as I'm walking and I'm getting closer to him, I started hearing the roar of the floor. And I knew right then and there, I said, good Lord, this is something, I just felt it in my veins. Like, I saw people running around screaming like lunatics, paper everywhere, people, hand signals back then in the days of the Amex, American Stock Exchange. And I just knew that this was something that potentially I would want to do one day. And then I went over to the New York Stock Exchange, and then working my way up from a specialist clerk to a wire clerk to a member. And then going to the COMEX and seeing the insanity in the COMEX pit, and walking by the oil pit or the silver pit. And then going out to the Chicago Board of Trade and looking what the 30-year bond pit was like. Insanity. Never knew how anything got done. People were buying here and selling here, and it was just insanity. Cards and paper everywhere.
How did that even work though? Like, let's say I wanted to buy 1,000 shares of, GE or some company. Mm-hmm. Like, how did that? What was the process like? If you were a trader on the floor, what was that process?
I've seen technology just jump so far. So when I was working on the exchange, on the American Stock Exchange, the orders would come over a printer, and you would hear go the dots, printing, and then you would rip it off and hand it to a broker, and it would say, buy, I just give an example, buy 1,000 American Express, Feb 50 calls, because the Amex did a lot of options, and then the broker would go out and place the order or bid for it in the crowd, and or drop the order on the book, and then on the New York Stock Exchange, you had brokers that would drop orders out, handwritten orders, and then there was in the post of the New York Stock Exchange, orders would spit out and called dot, and you would see it say, buy 10,000 Westinghouse 15 and an 8, and you would just take the order if you were a specialist clerk and put the orders in the book and write them by hand. Nowhere near what it is today. Everything is electronic. So you've seen so much has changed in the last 30. I'm 36 years in the industry, and then when I started, there was really no one doing upstairs trading, and this one gentleman, till this day, I'll maintain he was the one who pioneered it. He took me and two other guys and put up a pool of capital and let us trade his money, and in a condo overlooking the Hudson. And I took everything I learned from the people I met along the way, and we just started just picking up the phone and just calling guys on the trading floor, and just doing things manually. Now everything's done pretty much electronically. So it's a big change.
I'm sure you saw, like, let's say the market's crashing. Like, what are the emotions like? Obviously people are losing lots of money. People are making lots of money. You've got people actually, shoulder to shoulder fighting to get orders in, getting orders out. Like,
I was there on Black Monday, and the orders just kept on coming out. I never forget, because it was an XMI index, and we were getting orders to sell international paper like every 10 minutes in GE, and I just couldn't believe the amount of shares that were coming in to sell constantly. And you lived it, but when you're in that line of fire like that, you're just so used to it, though. You got to be professional, and but now today, when you see flash crashes, you just now it's all done electronically. It's really, if you look at the floor of the exchanges, the New York, it's like a ghost town, really.
Yeah, it's just, when we went to the New York Stock Exchange, I feel like it's more so just they kind of studio for CNBC. You know, they got their studio set up there. They got some other stuff going on. There's a couple stuff going on. We talked to a couple of different floor brokers. It's interesting to see, but obviously, you know, technology is to the point that everything's so fast now.
So when I was out in Chicago, I walked by the S&P pit, and that was pretty insane. Euro-dollar pit, that was monstrous. And now I think I was there about 3-4 months ago, and there's like maybe 8 or 9 people in the S&P pit. And so times have changed, but it's, you know, it's good because in the way that things are electronically done, and you get faster reports, and you know exactly how you stand right away and everything.
I mean, I just don't get how they actually kept track of all those papers.
Well,
how was there any kind of bookkeeping? You know, like,
well, sometimes
who knew who owned what?
Well, in the pits, you talking?
Yeah, I mean, just in general, like. Just
well, there was a big difference between being a stockbroker on the floor of the exchanges versus being a pit trader.
Yeah.
When those guys are screaming all day, and they, you know, they're making sure every time they do a trade they hand it off, and then their clerk would have to go and match it right away because you didn't want what was called an out, and then that could have been a problem. You know, like let's say, you know, you're out there, you're in the 30-year bond pit, you're offering 14s, and next thing you know, you're trying to sell, and you're thinking you sold them to somebody, but maybe he's a seller, and then you got to make sure that those clerks meet within minutes to make sure. It was pretty chaotic, but
yeah.
it got done though.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You know, but it got done.
See any good altercations? It was like hockey ever, you know, a little.
Oh yeah, I mean, I remember times when I would get an order. And, you know, I would have to, there was no running, per se, on the floor. And sometimes you see a couple of the old-timers try to trip me up a little bit because I was walking a little bit too fast for them, you know.
Yeah.
But it's the territory. You just look back and stare them down, I guess, you know. And that was it.
You know, technology, it opens the door to trading to the entire world.
Right.
It opens the door to thousands and hundreds of thousands of traders and people that are investing, you know, on their phones now. You have apps where you can literally buy and sell, you know, instantly and do all this. So, I mean, it's interesting. What do you think, like, just in general, you think it's just going to keep expanding? Like,
it might just get faster. That's about it. I mean, the technology is here. I mean, there's only one way to route orders. I mean, I had a gentleman came to visit me, and next thing I know, I thought he was texting the whole time. And he's actually trading the S&P futures on his phone while I'm calling it out.
Yeah.
Right. He was literally standing where you were, and I'm thinking the whole time he's texting a friend. And I said, "Okay, it's a Friday, 3:30. We got to go because I got to drive you back into the city." He says, "No. I still have a position. I'm almost out." I'm like, "You're trading the last hour? I didn't even know you were doing that. I thought you were texting." You know, so it was pretty funny though. But you know, I think that with the technology where it is today on the mobile apps, and you have people who still sit in front of desktops all day long, and now you know what we do, even the Ticker Tocker platform, we have people who follow automated trades. So we have professionals who have written algorithms, who have auto trades with verified performances, and more or less that they can hook up and sign up to be part of those algorithms and follow those leaders on those automated trading. So a lot of people are don't have time because they're working, but they want to be part of an automated strategy. So it's starting to really blossom. That's why when I designed Ticker Tocker, there were so many functions and things that I thought were needed in the marketplace, and that was one of them, auto trading.
Cool to hear what it was like trading back in the wild, wild west, pulling out the little pew, 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 and through the hand signals. So maybe we'll do a video later about the hand signals, but for now, I'm out of here. We're going to get some dinner. I'll talk to you guys later on.